Got a little bit of machining job going on here. It's a spacer ring for a very large bearing. So this is a 13-inch OD, 11.5-inch ID. I got to do some pretty heavy machining on it. This is Plaza Colchester 21-inch. I'm at a customer's shop. So using their lathe, this is identical to the one that I just got, except a shorter model. This one's only like 72 inches between centers. Just facing her off, taking her first pass here. Alright, we're just cruising along on our first roughing cut on the outside. I got the end face square. You can see, by the way, this is pretty typical of large heavy wall. You see the drastic variation in wall thickness going on. I've got a lot more material to spare on the inside than what I had on the outside, so I intentionally trued the outside up as close as I could get it. It was kind of humpy bumpy, but it was within 20 thousandths, yeah, closer to 30 thousandths total indicated runout between the highs and the lows. And I got that as close as I could, and then letting the inside be the one that ran out the most, because I've got a good 1/4 inch on the side to take out of there, so I can afford to let that wander a bit. So I want to cut this back to 8 inches, which is a little longer than my finished part needs to be. And then we'll see where we're at. So I'm running, let's see here, 135 RPM. I don't remember what my feed rate is. I went with whatever felt good. And I kept turning the speed up until my chips were just turning color a little. I'm only taking 20,000 step to cut because, as you can see, we're hanging out here quite a ways. You haven't got that much jaw engagement over here in the part. I really don't want to fling this thing out of here. So we're taking a pretty conservative cut. This machine's capable of a lot more. I just don't want to throw the part out of here. So I'd rather take a little longer and not wreck something. Anyway, we're going to carve away at it while I'll bring it back. We got some more to show. So when I went to my next pass, it was singing at me, started getting some harmonics going. So what I did is up my feed rate. I'm taking 10 thousandths per revolution feed rate. I think before I was at about 5, and by upping the feed rate and actually my depth of cut a little bit, I was able to get rid of it. You can just kind of hear it in the background, still wanting to flirt with it. So I wouldn't be shocked if we get into this a little more and I have to either lower my RPM or up my feed rate some more to try and get rid of that. But right now we're making do, we're getting the job done. But you get on big hollow stuff like this that's sticking out quite a ways, and the harmonic starts ringing like a bell. This one was a real low pitch, heavy rumble that actually can do some scary stuff. I can see them start really gouging deep and want to yank themselves out of the chuck. But anyway, she's cruising good now, and it's getting quieter. You can't probably hear it on the camera. It was humming a little bit, just flirting with it when I first started this video clip, and now it's running dead smooth as we're getting away from the end. So less overhang. I don't know if you guys can hear that rumble, but she's flirting with disaster. I'm in a full cut now. There she goes. She just quieted down. I was right on the edge of what was doable without it going critical on me there. I was hoping I could get past that end and be all right. Looks like we're going to be okay. As soon as I get done with this pass, should be cleaned up enough on the outside that I switch to carving on the inside then. All right, I finally hit a continuous cut. We've got past the interrupted cut. Got 400 thousandths to go to finish roughing, and then we'll be on finish passes. So we're taking 35 thousandths on a side, 100 RPM on 10.5-inch ID. So you see we're making some very blue chips, so we're definitely about as up there on surface speed as you probably ought to be on this. I didn't even do the math on it, did it by feel. The next step up on this lathe is 135 RPM, and it does some singing at that speed, starts chattering. So factor down until we got rid of the chatter, and that's what we're running at. carving away. We're making some longer stringers now, which are screwing with me a bit. Like you can see, this is what we're getting out of the hole now. They get wedged under my boring bar. That's why the finish, you can see it's kind of roughed up in there. It's because those get stuck once in a while back here behind the boring bar and scrape on the side of the bore. But hopefully once we get in a lighter cut on my finish passes, we'll get it to knock that nonsense off. Seems we're still roughing. I'm not worrying about it now. All right, we got the inside pretty well roughed out. Actually, another guy in the shop needed the boring bar I was using, and seeing as I had a lot of roughing to do on the outside, I let him take it. I mainly was wanting to get through the skin in there, because on heavy wall tubing like this, you can see the ideas floating around a lot. It can really do some weird stuff to the tube. It'll warp and shift and stuff when you cut the skin off the inside and outside. So I always take the skin off before I do any finish passes on the opposite surface. So anyway, I'm cutting up to that spot there. I made one pass already. I'm only getting away with 25 thou on a side. It wants to really start singing if I take any more cut than that. So we'll be here a while. I got a inch to take off the diameter. All right, I don't know if you can hear that. I upped her to 35 thou on a side, and we're definitely singing a little. Doesn't take very much of that before you get just harmonic meltdown and wrecks your tool and comes unglued. So I think next pass we're going back to 25. I'm just trying to finish this pass at 35. Just to not leave a step I got to come back and hit again. But anyway, you see that's, I don't know if you can see that in the finish too. See how it's all wavy, rough looking? That's the sound to getting machined into it, so to speak. All right, so here I went back to 25 on the side. You can hear it making a little noise. I think that's mostly it playing the track record, but see the drastic improvement in finish between there at 25 thou on the side and there at 35 on the side. We were just pushing the envelope too much with that 35, so it's just cutting pretty nice again. We're just gonna have to live with this. That'll be a total of 20 passes to take this down to dimension at that cut rate. So we've got this thing cranked up some more. We're doing 100 RPM, 50 thousandths depth to cut, and 14 thousandths per revolution of feet. Now, I'd say we're pushing it pretty good. We're only grabbing about an inch of this thing on the end. But so far she's doing it, so we're rocking with it. I got just one or two more roughing passes, and then we'll be down to finish passes on the OD. All right, finish pass here. I'm leaving a couple thou on there to buff in because we've got a seal surface on here, and I want a finer finish than what I'm getting. But we're turning 75 RPM, doing 5 thousandths per revolution feed rate. And I'm only skimming about 2 thou on a side right now, just shaving her in. All right, so I had to switch tools because one of the other guys here needed the boring bar I was using, and all they had was this honky thing that's not a boring tool at all. I'm really fighting chatter, so to finally get rid of the chatter and make it livable, this boring bar is about this long. It's like 3-footer. And I've got a bag of oil dry hanging on the tail end of it. You can still hear it humming a little, but this keeps it from going critical on me. And then I also had to slow down. I'm down to 55 RPM, and I'm only taking 15 thou on a side cut. And anyways, this is just goes to show how little tiny changes can make huge differences. I mean, I had a boring bar that was smaller than this one, and it was doing the job just fine, and switched to this mess and fighting tooth and nail. But that's the downside to working in somebody else's shop. So yeah, he's set up over there. He needed that one because it holds their threading inserts. Anyway, we're getting her done. I've got about 3-4 more passes at this rate, and we'll have her like the outside's completely finished. This surface doesn't matter. That's why I didn't go for crazy finish. This I polished in, took the last thou and a half aside off by hand. They didn't have one here, so I made myself a sanding block on the bandsaw, and that's what I buffed that in with. Anyway, so we're making progress. All right, so I'm taking a spring pass a minute just to see what happens. I cranked the feed rate up to 16 thousandths per revolution and turned the RPMs back up to 100. And this spring pass looks like it's cutting about 5 to 8 on a side. I just wanted to see where we're at and see if it's going to clean up and give me a nice finish, because I don't want to get down to my actual finish pass and then find out I can't get it to clean up. So this is kind of an experimental pass. Depending on what it does, we may just continue taking light cuts at this speed to the finish. I've got about 70 thousandths to go on the diameter, so I'm more concerned with getting a good finish and consistent results than I am with speed at this point. All right, everybody, we're on the finish pass here. We're taking about 5.5 thou on a side right now, and probably don't need the bag of oil dry on this boring bar at this point, but we're getting good results. You don't mess with it, you leave her be. So it's been a long haul. So this thing, I have been machining on this since, I mean, there was some setup and getting stuff around. I got to think about this. So yeah, actually I started on it yesterday. So I've got something pushing 10 hours into this thing at this point. I mean, I have a few other distractions. I've had to go do some odds and ends, help other people with a couple things. But for the most part, there's about, yeah, something pushing 10 hours into this. But not super proud of that. The problem here, as you can see, we're only grabbing less than an inch of it. I just didn't dare push this thing as hard as I would have if I'd had a better hold of it. That, and it really is ringy and singy and just... But anyway, we're getting there. A lot of metal removal, though. As you can see from the step here, we took, about 3/4 of an inch off a side on that, just to clean up here, and then a good 1/4 of an inch off a side on the bore, all the way to a depth of 8 inches. So a lot of material came off this part, but it's about to be done. What we will do, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but this is a side spacer for a gear and bearing assembly. The bearing goes on here. It's adapting a shaft that was machined wrong. So anyways, I won't know exactly what length this needs to be until I get, it's not a gear, sorry, sprocket. Until the sprocket gets installed, and then I'll cut this off and face it to length. But I'm going to leave it attached to the waste stock until that point. So anyway, so yeah, this is all stuff in progress. One of the other guys is working on this. That's cover for one of the big gears in the gearbox. I think that's about 60 inches in diameter, if I remember right. This is a lathe that I just put the digital readouts on for him a couple months ago. Matter of fact, this lathe is one that I found for these guys. Same guys down there in Indiana that I got my 21-inch Colchester from had this really gorgeous lathe. Super minty shape. Clausing Colchester 21 by, I believe it was 72 between centers, but I didn't have deep enough pockets to buy it, so I told the guys here at this shop about it, and they actually sent me down there with a check to go pick it up for them. So I've been loving running it. It's making me really wish I had mine going. But anyways, so I think this will probably be the end of the video. I'm about done with this, and I don't think I'll shoot any video after this. I've already gone in this far, come out, checked my bore diameter, and I'm just running on down to the bottom. Because the bearing is here, there's a seal running here, I went ahead and cut in about to there just in case the bore diameter was a little off, because this first section doesn't matter much. We're actually intentionally going to relieve it a little bit more in this section where it's just a side spacer, and then this ring's going to get heated up and dropped on there with some Loctite. So anyway, that's it. You guys have a good evening, and I'll catch you on the next video.